Hello everyone, hope you all are doing fine. This is Gautam from Shailaja IAS. This is another video of Mains in Minutes where we are going to discuss on the recent events from your UPSC civil service examination perspective. This video, I'll be talking about the controversy related to your special intensive revision exercise that took place in Bihar over the preceding 3 months. Okay, we'll understand what was this controversy all about, why there was a need for special intensive revision of electoral rolls in Bihar, and what are the lessons that Indian political system can take away from this particular controversy, right? Uh, so let us begin with this. You need to know that Bihar is going to have its 5-year assembly elections that is going to be conducted in the month of November. And recently, on October 6th, the Election Commission of India has also even announced the dates that it is going to be conducted in 2 phases. First on November 6th, second on November 11th. The final dates is going to be, or the final results is going to be announced on November 14th. So before this, on June 24th, Election Commission of India held a press conference and said that it is going to undertake special intensive revision of electoral rolls of the state. Now, what do you mean by electoral rolls of a state? There's nothing but the list of all the eligible voters in that particular state associated with their details. Like you have the name, you have the age, you have the constituency to which they belong, you have their address. Right? Now, why is there a need to revise or update this particular electoral rolls? Mainly because the last such exercise was done in an intensive manner in 2003. So over a period of 22-23 years, there would be lot many changes in the demography itself. Some of them would have died, new people would have now become eligible to be added into the list. Some of them would have migrated outside the country, also migrated outside the state. Few of the illegal migrants might be staying in the state who might have got into the list. So in order to, you can say, clean up this list, the Election Commission of India said that they are going to undertake special intensive revision of electoral rolls in Bihar state. So I think the objective is very clear, to clean up the electoral list itself so as to make the entire process more transparent, more fair, and with integrity. Now, what is the process with this? It was announced on June 24, 2025. Election is on November 2025. So you have July, August, September, right? And also October. October is in the date when the results were announced, right? And Election Commission of India clearly stated that the exercise of special intensive revision of electoral rolls is going to start from 25th of June. That is the next day on the announcement. And the final list is going to be announced by September 30th, right? So within 3 months, they said that this entire exercise would be undertaken. Now, at the time of announcement of this exercise, Bihar officially had 7.89 crore voters in their electoral rolls, right? So the idea was to clean up this entire list. Now, what was the process for this revision of this electoral list? Okay, there would be door-to-door surveying or campaigning of it. There would be distribution and collection of enumeration forms. They would give you the forms. You need to fill the forms with your name and your specific details and other things. And you need to provide or submit a proof of citizenship. This is the, you can say, core part, which was something new and which was not there in the previous special intensive revision exercise that was conducted in 2003. So in 2003 also similar exercise was conducted. They were giving out the forms. You need to fill the forms. And the draft list was announced and publication was done. But in this particular 2025 exercise, the major aspect is that people were supposed to provide submission of proof of citizenship. So the burden of proof of citizenship was on the citizens, right? And there were 11 documents that one could bring to prove their same. And we'll see those 11 documents. There's birth certificate, there is passport, there is your 12th certificate or degree certificate. There is identity card or pension order from your, you can say, government employees. There is permanent residence certificate, forest rate certificate, SC, ST, OBC or any caste certificate, NRC document wherever it's applicable, family register prepared by authorities, land or house allotment certificate, identity card that is issued by bank or government or post offices before July 1st, 1987. So these were the 11 documents which were permitted by the Election Commission of India. So whereas any resident who is staying in Bihar who wants their name to be in the electoral list, they have to fill the form and they have to submit either of these 11. You can clearly notice that Aadhaar, which is the most common document that people in India are having, is excluded from this particular list. So this created some sort of a controversy or opposition from the civil society, from the media, from the opposition parties, because the most common document, Aadhaar, is missing over here, right? And the other thing is that they were going to start from June 25th and the final list is going to be published by September 30th. July was the 1 month where you have to fill the application form along with the proof of citizenship. August was the month. On August 1st, Bihar Election Commission of India used to publish draft electoral rolls, and any objections can be raised in that particular month. So August was a month to raise any objections, right? And September was the month where final checking was happened and final clearing and final publication was supposed to be done. And they felt that this entire exercise covering around 38 districts, there were nearly 3,000, you can say, assistant electoral register offices, around 1 lakh booth level offices. Okay, around 1 lakh booth level offices, along with the cooperation of 12 major political parties in the state. And these political parties would appoint approximately 1.5 lakh booth level agents in order to coordinate the exercise so that the entire exercise is going to be transparent. Okay, so the scale of the exercise is so humongous. 38 districts, nearly 8 crore population, door-to-door survey. You need to train nearly 1 lakh of booth level officers with regard to how the exercise needs to be conducted. Grievance redressal mechanism needs to be put up. People who are disenfranchised or people who are poor, marginalized, illiterate, who may not be having all these documents, they may not be in a position to vote. So all this led to a confusion, right? So that is what this entire controversy was about, which you can clearly see over here. The reaction of, we'll see the political parties. Obviously, the ruling party or the BJP-led India welcomed it. They said that whoever are illegal migrants, they are primarily pointing fingers to Bangladeshi migrants, they will be removed from the list. Okay, so they allege that opposition parties who are in, you can say, in favor of Bangladeshi Muslim immigrants, they are forcefully or they have included those names in the list, and this exercise is going to remove them from the list because over here they have the burden of submission of proof of citizenship, right? Opposition rejected it. They called it as a vote chori, primarily because they felt that since the burden of proof of citizenship is on the people and most of them are poor, this might lead to a mass disenfranchisement, that it might lead to mass removal of people from the voters list. The opposition created a narrative that the ruling party along with ECI is trying to remove the names of Muslim voters from the list, or is trying to remove the names of poor people from the list. So they created this sort of a narrative of fear, saying that there is going to be mass removal of people from your voters list because of this exercise, because people are not be having the necessary documents to submit. Timing and implementation part, most of them question that this entire exercise is difficult to implement or it's impractical because of the timing, because there is very less time to implement it. There is, you can say, very less time to train the booth level officers to conduct this exercise. And they also felt that this is a time period of flooding and people will be displaced. They may not be having the required documents. People would have migrated outside the state. So they felt that this short span of time is impractical and it's going to be difficult to implement it. Finally, they said that disproportionately it is going to hurt the poor and the marginalized, especially your Dalits, Adivasis and minorities. And exclusion of Vadar was considered as one of the major opposition's plank, right? And it did not sit quite. In the month of July itself, during the second week of July, civil society organization filed cases in the Supreme Court. Hearings were happening from both the sides, the Election Commission of India on one side and the opposition parties or civil society groups on the other side. They mainly objected on the procedural fairness of it and also on the legal validity of the entire exercise. They questioned that, is this exercise legally valid or is it backed by a legislation? Okay. In fact, it is backed by legislation under Section 21 of your Representation of Peoples Act 1950. But petition was filed on these particular grounds. Supreme Court did not stay the exercise. They said that, okay, let the exercise continue, let ECI continue to undertake this exercise. But it also warned Election Commission of India that we are going to monitor very closely, and if there is any hint that there is going to be a mass removal of voters, we might have to, you can say, cancel the exercise itself. So that signal was sent by the Supreme Court to the Election Commission of India. And eventually, Supreme Court also said, along with these 11 documents, kindly include Aadhaar as the 12th document as a burden of proof when submitting this all these forms, right? So allowed for inclusion of Aadhaar as the 12th document, despite Election Commission of India's reluctance. Okay, so the present situation is what? On August 1st, when the draft roll was released, nearly 68 lakh names were deleted from the list that was announced on June 24th. And after objections, after Supreme Court allowing for inclusion of Aadhaar, 21 lakh names were further got added. So the final list that was announced on September 30th, Election Commission of India published the final voters list, and it consisted of 7.42 crore voters. Okay, so compared to the June list, there was one June list, there was one draft, and there is now the final list. So June list had 7.89 crores, your August had around 7.2 crores, and your final list had 7.42 crores. So when you look at the first and the final list, nearly 40 lakh names have been removed, right? So BJP has obviously welcomed it. Civil society groups have also welcomed it. Opposition is yet to give the reply, right? So this is the present situation. Now, what are the lessons from this entire controversy? First and foremost thing, your Election Commission of India, whenever it wants to undertake, you can say, revision of electoral rolls, especially now that it is planning for a similar kind of exercise at a national level, it has to make sure that along with keeping the accuracy of the list intact, it should also make sure that the entire process is inclusive in nature, especially for poor, marginalized, illiterate, Dalit, Adivasis and minorities who don't have proper documentation. Election Commission of India has to make sure that the process is inclusive of all the sections of society, right? So it has to balance your accuracy as well as inclusivity. Adequate public consultation needs to take place regarding, or awareness needs to be created about the exercise itself, so that the opposition will not get a chance to induce the doubt in the minds of citizens, or you can say create a wrong narrative. Right now, what we saw, the opposition parties also try and created a doubtful narrative, which in fact threatens the credibility and integrity of an institution like Election Commission of India. Okay, so Election Commission of India need to undertake adequate public consultation so that they create awareness that prevents any misinformation, right? There needs to be documentation flexibility, just like how Supreme Court allowed for Aadhaar. There needs to be a documentation flexibility if it wants to conduct a national level SIR. Okay, operational preparedness needs to be there because lakhs of booth level officers are going to be involved in such kind of an exercise. Training needs to be done in an adequate manner so that the entire process is inclusive, fair and transparent. Adequate or transparent grievance redressal mechanism needs to be put in place so that people whose name is out of the list have a smooth procedure to include their name in the list itself. Okay. Finally, Election Commission of India should not give any scope for opposition parties to create a wrong narrative on it. So it has to ensure that the credibility of the institution is intact, and it has to maintain your political neutrality, and it has to be vigilant about what is happening in your political ecosystem, right? And lastly, Election Commission of India needs to make sure that it is compliant with all the legal and constitutional safeguards or any judicial cases that has been, or precedents that has been set by your Supreme Court. Okay, so this is the controversy regarding your special intensive revision exercise that was conducted in the state of your Bihar. I hope you have understood it. If you have any doubts, you can kindly message to my number or you can drop a mail to my email ID. All the very best.